Union Jal Shakti Minister, Honorable Chairman of this panel, my co-panelists, and all the dignitaries. On the subject of climate resilient water infrastructure, I am in charge of rural development and Panchayat Raj in Karnataka. So we in fact came with two presentations, one from the water resources and another from the department. Since I am focusing more on my own expertise. So on the overall issue of making our water infrastructure climate resilient, the state making it climate resilient, a lot of activities towards the ministry, in the Department of Water Resources are already being taken up. We showed a film also on that. So, but I thought we will focus a little more on the subject of overall climate change. How do we make the state climate change resilient? Karnataka, as you are aware, has the second largest arid region in the country after Rajasthan. So, what do we do to address this? And then we find that the Mahatma Gandhi Narega is of great help, and it's a very important tool for us to address this. And yesterday, Amit Kataria, Joint Secretary, made the presentation. Without repeating that, I will go a little more specific into what we are doing in our state. So overall, this is something that we are all aware that these are some of the impacts of climate change, and the strategies for mitigation and adaptation are listed there. That we need to focus on long-term drought proofing of the states. We need to improve storage by improve the lakes and tank development, and particularly watershed treatment of upper reaches, so to avoid flooding. And water scarcity, that we need to store more water above ground, and then also we need to recharge. I suppose these are the issues that we are all familiar. So I have a last presentation, but I'll quickly run through it. So the various stakeholders who are impacted by climate change are listed here, and then the impacts are described. We'll be sharing this presentation. I'll not be reading the whole thing. So I'll just set the context, and then we'll move on. So the various mitigation and adaptation strategies that we are looking at: land treatment, we are looking at rainwater harvesting and efficient use of water, suitable crops and varieties, then we are looking at fodders, we are looking at suitable implements and need-based nutrient management. So we are looking at actually at the Gram Panchayat level. How do we really look at climate resilience at the Gram Panchayat level? How to make them smart using Atal Bhujal Yojana as well as using our own initiatives. We are looking at training the Gram Panchayats to look at water budgeting. They look at the various activities of natural resource and economic activities, food security, health infrastructure, etc. And how do we make them climate resilient? And for these, we have a lot of activities which can be carried out using Mahatma Gandhi Narega. So there is an actionable framework under Narega. Government of India has also identified as one of the key instruments towards tackling climate change. So these are the things in repetition here. So it just gives a scale of in one state. We are over the last 4 or 5 years, we have spent annually in the range of 4 to 5,000 crores every year. And every year about 4 to 5 lakh works are carried out. And how do we really make sure that these works actually address the issue of climate change is something that I'm going to talk about. So the various adaptation and mitigation strategies, I just give just an overview of what kind of works we have done. For example, 67,000 lakes we have developed over the years, and number of check dams about 40,000. The 3,33,000 plantation works have been carried out, burns, open wells, so block plantations, afforestation. And plus, one of the important aspects of climate change impact is on the livelihoods, and therefore we have to look at diversifying the livelihoods of the farmers, and therefore we are using Narega to develop sericulture area, to construct cattle sheds. Like 2.12 lakh over the last 3 years only, cattle sheds have been constructed. We developed horticulture in 1,89,000 acres of area. We have developed horticulture. We are doing farm ponds and agricultural godowns. So for natural resource management alone, this is the kind of expenditure we have been doing every year. So about 4 to 5,000 crores we are spending on natural resource management. So how do we really make sure that this expenditure is made in a more systematic manner and make it scientific, so that we are very consciously addressing the issues of climate change, and therefore we have come up with a concept called Jal Sanjeevani. It's a program that we have designed in Karnataka using Manrega. So it addresses 3 pillars: the environmental conservation, water conservation and soil conservation. So this is a familiar rich to valley watershed. We are using nothing new in it, but this is what we are going to do it in a more comprehensive manner. So we initiated this program last year, and September onwards we followed a process. We followed a very detailed process of starting with gathering of socio-economic aggregate data and conducting water budgeting at the grassroots levels, use GIS tools for planning, and then we conducted participatory rural appraisals. And so this whole program process was done over a period of 7 to 8 months to prepare detailed plans, which we are going to implement in the year from the next financial year. So the tools that we have used Bhuvan portal, and we have our own Karnataka State Remote Sensing Application Center, which has thematic maps. Google Earth Pro we have used Bhuvan Geo Manrega for looking at all the geotagged assets. And we use Clark mobile app, which is actually very useful for us for ground truthing and actually locating and selecting the right artificial recharge instrument for the right area. And then we have our own Karnataka's mobile app called Dishank, which basically gives the entire survey details of the data. So like this, we prepare a map matrix, which we give it to our field level functionaries, and then which basically what are the type of works that have to be taken, and what are the features of that, what maps we use. This is just to demonstrate as to what kind of a detail goes into the planning. I just shared it. You need not go through it, but this is the kind of matrix we have prepared. And we have a phase-wise implementation plan, like this year, next year, and we'll start with upper reaches this year, and then go to the middle reach and the lower reach, and the type of work in each year is listed there. So this is again an example of one Panchayat in Gadag. So in Muradi Panchayat in Gadag, this map is actually of one Panchayat, and in one Panchayat it gives you the gradient, it gives the drainage map, and then based on that we locate structures in detail as to which structure is located where, and starting with rubble checks and then go down to water pools and check dams. So this each Panchayat will prepare a detailed plan like this, and then we focus the Narega assets creation according to this plan instead of randomly doing it. So we are preparing a water security plan, preparing a disaster management plan, wildlife conservation, livelihoods, and grazing land development, and all this will do using scientific planning. So we have a model, we call it Gomalas. We have a lot of grazing lands which are being encroached or being diverted. So we are now preparing a plan to make sure that the grazing lands are revived and restored, because one of the key impacts of climate change would be on grazing lands. So that when we are looking at promoting animal husbandry, grasslands are important. And then this is a model disaster management sub-plan. Because we find that disaster management is another issue that we need to address very actively. This is a map. What we have done is we have basically prepared this map by looking at the last 20 years of data, frequency of droughts, and then in one of those grayscale we find that out of last 20 years, 13 to 14 years have been drought in 22 talukas. So we have this map which shows that which helps us locate the frequency of the droughts, and this is frequency of flooding, and this is frequency of landslides. So based on that, actually for each of the disaster management, what are the type of works that need to be taken up and in which area they should be located. This kind of a detailed planning we will do, and then we will start implementing them, and disaster management sub-plans will be prepared at a lower level. And then we'll use the ground truthing using the CLART map. CLART app is developed by Foundation of Ecological Security. It has all the data. In fact, if you take it to a particular location, it will give you the data of the substrata, and then it will also, based on the color coding, it will advise us as to what kind of recharge structure can be taken up. Instead of right now what we are doing is we are just finding a valley and we are constructing a check dam. So instead we are now looking at whether if we construct a check dam, whether it will really recharge there or will the water go somewhere else. So we are using Clartap for this. And so basically this is the kind of planning we have done. We have conducted detailed trainings, and we are now ready to implement it. So this, I think I'll conclude my presentation. We'll just show some of the works we have done, and numbers are also given. We are focusing on creating more and more lakes, store more water above ground in order to save energy, and also address the issue of water security. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.